Welcome to another episode of Rooted in Reaching, a podcast about startups and entrepreneurs in the South Bend Elkhart region of Indiana. My name is Bethany Hartley.
And I'm Nick Kuhn. Today, I'll be speaking with Alex Sejdinaj from Codeworks, South Bend Code School, and Give Grove. And she'll share a little bit about how she's giving back to the community, how she's learned as an entrepreneur, and what she's doing to make an impact here in South Bend. We hope you enjoy. Well, I'm here with Alex Sejdinaj with so many companies I can't even mention, but Codeworks being one of them. Thank you so much for being here today.
Thanks for having me.
I'm so excited to talk to you. We've known each other for 2 years, and we just met in person for the first time.
I know, pandemic, right?
What a world. What a world. But glad we could do this, and glad we can learn more about what you've been working on. You're repping your South Bend gear.
Yes.
Where's this from?
We've got South Bend Code School here.
Okay.
Yeah, our classic sweatshirt. And then, a Give Grove mug as well.
You brought the swag. I love it. The merch, and we'll be getting into both of those in a bit.
Yeah.
Starting out, just want to learn a little bit more about how you grew up. What did you learn? What was your education like? And then what brought you here to South Bend?
Yeah, well, so I'm originally from Atlanta, Georgia. And I grew up only child in a family. And I, growing up actually, so it's funny that I ended up in entrepreneurship because I always wanted to be a doctor. And I took this so seriously in that at the age of 7, I had my first internship where I would go to our family doctor's office every Saturday, and I would take patients' vitals, like help check blood pressure and all those kinds of things. Had a real stethoscope and blood pressure cuff, and like I kept that level of seriousness, from 7 all the way through high school. Yeah, I just kept taking on, medically related internships. But I wound up in South Bend because I originally was sold on Emory University in Atlanta. And I thought that this is where, I'm going to continue this journey on the medical path. And I got into Emory. I got accepted, thankfully. But then I spent a weekend on campus living in the dorms and seeing what it would really be like to go to school here. And I realized that it was not the best fit for me. I didn't really vibe or connect with the campus in the way that I thought that I would. But thankfully, I had also applied to the University of Notre Dame. And I applied to Notre Dame because a friend in my Spanish class in high school talked about how great the dining hall was. And I love food. So I thought, why not apply? And actually, when I got the acceptance letter, I threw it away because I'm not into sports, and I did not know that Notre Dame was actually a really good school. But thankfully, the offer was still there. And so I was able to come to Notre Dame, and my first time being on campus was when I was moving into my dorm.
Wow.
Yeah.
Okay. I'm just going to say top of mind stuff. A lot of people dream for that moment, and you're like, except
there's Emory.
Yeah, there's this. Awesome. So you got to South Bend, you moved to a new dorm, you got some good food in you, and now you're studying. What are you studying?
Yeah, so I was pre-med still.
Okay.
I stayed on that track, and it wasn't actually until my junior year that I met with my advisor, and she just asked me a simple question in passing that I know she didn't think, anything of really, which was, are you happy? And are you enjoying your classes? And I told her no. And so she immediately just stopped in her tracks and said, Alex, that's not normal. You should enjoy what you're studying. And I said, but there's no career in that. Because in my mind, I was thinking that I have to become a doctor, and that's going to be the career that I've always been meant to do. It's going to let me help people, and I'll have this fulfilling life. But she explained that, instead, her advice to me was to focus on the here and now and to focus on finding your passion, and then you will find a career out of that. So I took her advice, and I added on an English major, which was something that I was naturally passionate about, as opposed to medicine. And I started tutoring at local high schools in the area because I wanted to just continue doing things that I loved. And I naturally enjoyed tutoring and working with students. And so I started tutoring, and I met a number of high school seniors and juniors who weren't planning on going to college after graduation because for a variety of reasons. Some didn't think that they had the grades. Others didn't think they had the financial means where college would be an option. So I just did a quick Google search there with a group of students in the library of careers without a college degree. And coding was the first thing that came up. So I had never heard of it before. And so I started teaching myself how to code just through free online classes and networking of talking to every computer science major on campus that I knew, to find out how do I get started with this. And I started a pilot program here in town just to be able to test out the idea of, can I teach kids how to code, and then would they enjoy it? And thankfully they did. And out of that pilot program, I wound up meeting my two co-founders, and we started our first company together, South Bend Code School.
Okay, so okay,
That was
let's
a lot.
unpack this. Yeah, make sure I'm hearing you correctly. You're a Notre Dame student. You're pre-med, English, volunteer, self-taught coding.
Yep.
And now you're volunteering as a mentor and guide for kids that don't believe they can attend higher education,
Yeah.
getting them into a career trajectory that is now probably the most lucrative,
Yeah,
industry.
Yeah, definitely
in the
heavily
market.
talked about. A
Yeah.
lot more now than it was then. So,
Fantastic.
yeah.
I love it. Incredible. So that culminated, I'm assuming, I don't want to put words in your mouth, with South Bend Code School.
Yes.
Okay,
Yep.
great.
Yeah.
And one of your co-founders
Yeah.
or can you tell us about your co-founders?
Yeah. So my co-founders' names are, one is also named Alex, and we are also married. So same first and last name. That's always fun. And then our third co-founder is a friend of ours named Chris. And so, the three of us have started, all of our ventures together.
Awesome. So Code School is still up and running.
Yes. Yeah.
And,
8 years now.
Okay.
Yeah.
And is it local, regional? Is it nationwide? How
Oh,
does it
wow.
look?
Yeah. Well, so I'd say that we're in Indiana and Michigan. So we have a few programs running out of Michigan right now. And we've also transitioned a ton too. So we used to, we started off doing just in-person classes. And so, you're a little bit limited in that capacity because you need a person there to be able to teach. But since the pandemic actually encouraged us to expand, and so now we offer virtual training to educators as well as in person. And so that's let us really be able to expand our reach, like particularly into Michigan, but, definitely looking to, go all over because we're now able to teach teachers how to share coding with their students. And so then, you can take that anywhere.
That's great. And so you really leaned in during the pandemic to iterate, to innovate, and to grow your footprint and to grow ultimately the company and the mission.
Yeah, I think you have to.
Totally, yeah, absolutely. It's innovate or die.
Yeah.
And things can happen very quickly. Can you share anything fun that comes to your mind? Something you've learned from your students. Typically,
Yeah.
we say we think we're giving all the information to them, but a lot of times we're learning more. So.
Oh, absolutely. Oh my gosh, so many things. Well, I guess so. One thing is definitely that anyone can learn how to code. So we have had students of all ages, as young as 3, to we've had a woman in her 70s, learning how to code with us. So I think that one is huge, and that there's not one particular type of person who's going to be good at coding. So a lot of times I think we think, well, if I'm not good at math, then I probably can't code. And that is the furthest thing from the truth because there's so many different languages out there. And so instead, what I love doing is being able to connect students with the language that they're passionate about, and that connects with their natural interests. And so then, you're able to experience that success.
Yeah, awesome. Great. So what's fun? A lot of things, but one of the things that I want to touch on is you didn't just stay there. You weren't satisfied. You were still hungry, and some other opportunities arose. Can you tell us about how this came about?
Yeah. So very naturally. So we had one day where we were teaching a coding class and we had more instructors in the room than students. And so, overnight it kind of felt like we had attracted all of this tech talent here in the area. And they were all individuals who were just interested in using tech for good. And so we started our second company called Codeworks. And with Codeworks, we call it a digital product studio. But we build digital products, for different companies of all sizes. Our latest venture with Codeworks has been we offer offer, it's called the Digital Storefront Grant Program. And so it allows us to be able to offer technology grants to small businesses, just to be able to help them meet whatever their greatest technology need is. So whether that's building a website or, finding a back-end system that's going to help them manage products better, different things like that. And then we didn't think 2 ventures was apparently enough, because a year after that, we started a fundraising platform called GiveGrove.
Okay. And was that internally with the team? Kind of
Yeah.
almost a studio model?
So yeah, it was all Alex, Chris, and myself. And then over the years, our team has grown. So like we have a really solid team of designers as well as project managers. And so everyone on the team ends up kind of operating within all 3 businesses at some point. But it really creates, I guess, like a cohesive unit.
That's great. So GiveGrove, can you elaborate a little more? It's a fundraising platform. Is there any anecdotes you have from there? Maybe some interesting clients or fun projects you've worked on?
Yeah. Oh, I mean, so many. So with GiveGrove, we like to say that we make fundraising easy peasy lemon squeezy, and the logo is a lemon.
You have a yellow mug.
Yeah, as you can see.
On brand.
So it makes sense. But yeah, so with that, I mean, I think the greatest thing that we've seen with it has been it has made running fundraising events affordable for organizations of all different sizes. So like a lot of smaller orgs that we would meet or interact with would say that they ran into a lot of barriers when it came to trying to use technology to fundraise. So whether systems, being too costly, or there being contracts where you have to use to be able to sign up, or even the funds that they raise being held in a separate bank account before it's released to you. A lot of things that can be really cumbersome if you're a small organization and part of a small team. And so with GiveGrove, we've made it really affordable of no contracts. We have no hidden fees or anything like that. We don't make money until you make money. And so it makes it a lot easier for organizations of all sizes be able to just test out ideas, for fundraising to benefit their orgs.
That's incredible. Okay, so where my mind is right now, you have a lot going on. How do you as a person stay organized and focused? What does your day look like that you can do all this stuff?
Oh man, well, you as a parent as well as a professional, I'm sure that's like always an interesting question. And I feel like, at least from my perspective, right now, the answer is that I guess take everything day by day, and just do my best of that. I guess my superpower that I've learned recently has been to just be flexible. So having very limited expectations for each day, where I think that the expectations that I start each day with are to attempt and try my best to just be a good person. And then anything else that falls off, it's just going to fall off the rails, and that's totally fine. And so then that helps where certain emails, don't always get sent, or, some meetings run long, things like that. But if I'm able to be flexible, then it helps to alleviate a lot of stress, from different expectations maybe not being met.
That's great. Yeah. Well, I love that you work on all this stuff and able to kind of keep it together and communicate this way and be a significant part of the community. So thank you so much.
Thanks.
I have a curveball for you. If this doesn't go well, we can edit this whole little segment out.
Okay.
But there have been headlines recently, and I've been trying to keep up to the best of my ability, that AI with ChatGPT and some others are affecting coding significantly.
Yeah.
How do you interact with the actual tool itself, as well as maybe the market expectations of it, and how do you see this playing out?
Well, I mean, so currently I'm really loving the benefits of ChatGPT, as well as a lot of the other AI software that's out there. Like there's different copywriting ones and plagiarism ones. I mean, there's even, different ones for writing scripts for podcasts. And so like that has really amazed me, and our team has really latched on to those things. And so in that regard, I have found it to be a benefit, because as a small business, it really is able to help our business processes. And, my hope then is that translates into business growth as well, of the less time that our team is spending copywriting or doing different things of that nature. Of if we're able to have, a software that helps take care of it, then you're immediately able to go focus on other things. And with a small team, which is what we have, you have limited people. And so being able to employ those kinds of tools, that can really be a game changer.
100%.
So, yeah.
That's great. So it's being used for good for your purposes. Are you able to integrate this with your student base yet? Or is it a little too early for them to understand the conflict correlation benefits?
Yeah, I mean, so we haven't fully yet. I'd say that we have a class with middle schoolers, once a week right now going on. And so with those students, I've started talking with them about ChatGPT just to try to understand what their knowledge of the platform is. And, some of the things they've said have been like, well, it's blocked at our school, so that students don't use it for tests or, to write papers or things of that nature. But they are incredibly fascinated about it. Of even though it's blocked at school, they're looking at it at home and, experimenting with it. And I think that's great. So I think that instead, it's great being able to have conversations with them about, technology. As technology also continues to grow and change, it's no different than anything else, in the world that we live in, of that there's good aspects of it and there are bad aspects. And so as long as you use it for good, then I don't see anything wrong with it. Yeah. So it's really cool getting to hear our students, being able to say, there's nothing wrong with using it if it's helping you to learn more about something, or even how you said it's being used, with coding. I haven't tried it yet, but I've heard that, you can plug your code into it and ask it to debug it and it'll find what the problem is. So for, a learner who's, just getting started with coding and trying to, or even a professional where you're trying to figure these things out, I think that that's, you using these tools for good as opposed to, maybe using it for plagiarism.
Absolutely. Yeah. Great. Well, this is awesome. How can others find your work? What can you maybe give us a website or handles that we can find what you're working on?
Yeah. For our websites, we've got southbendcodeschool.com. And then for Codeworks, we're sbcodeworks.com. givegrove.com. Just the names of the companies. If you just Google search, that also can be easier than trying to remember the URLs. And as well as our social media platforms. Yeah.
Awesome. Well, be sure to check that out because Alex and their teams are doing amazing things in South Bend. We're so grateful. Thank you for being here today.
No, thanks for having me.
It's been fun.